guys, Christine here, and today I'm going to share a list of 15 popular diets that I've had experience with and what my experience was with each one. If you're wondering which diet is the healthiest, that's something that's going to be different for each person. I'm sharing my personal experience, but you should always consult your doctor before changing your diet. Number 1 on my list is a vegan diet. A vegan diet is based on eating only plant foods, so no meat, dairy, eggs, or even honey. Some people make it a lifestyle where they don't even wear leather or wool. I followed this way of eating until I became pregnant and experienced strong cravings for non-vegan foods. Again, everyone is different, but in my case, it felt right to broaden my food choices to include some fish and eggs at the time. Some of the things I appreciated about being vegan was the sense of community, creating a cooking school around vegan cooking, meeting compassionate people, and learning how to cook new foods. For me, after reading about Weston Price and traditional diets, I started to change the way I thought about food and the way I ate. More about that shortly. Number 2 on my list is a raw food diet. A raw food diet can be vegetarian or include raw animal food, but everything is consumed uncooked. Some marination with salt or vinegar can be used, but no heat above certain temperatures. I never ate this way exclusively, but incorporated raw food recipes like salads or raw desserts into my diet. I found that too much raw food was hard to digest for me and left me feeling cold. These days I limit my raw food in my diet to just a few times a week and feel that this works best with my metabolism. Number 3 on my list is a macrobiotic diet. When I was vegan, I studied macrobiotic cooking. This type of diet typically includes whole grains, beans, organic fruits and vegetables, and sea vegetables. Some people eating this way also eat low-fat fish like cod once a week. All of the recommended foods are personalized to each person based on the principles of yin and yang. It was popularized by Michio Kushi and Aveline Kushi, who opened the first natural food store here in the US. Like a vegan diet, it can also be more of a lifestyle that involves daily gentle exercise, chewing your food thoroughly, wearing natural fiber clothing, and making home remedies. I loved this way of eating, and it helped to stabilize a health condition I had in my 20s. I'm grateful for that and still incorporate many of these healthy habits in my daily routine. Thanks to my macrobiotic training, I learned to soak my beans and grains and cook them properly. I ate a wide variety of fruits and veggies and incorporated nutritious sea vegetables into my diet. It really changed the whole way I live my life today, and I met great people in the macrobiotic community. I also became a personal chef and cooking teacher, and I chew really well. Number 4, plant-based. After I started eating small amounts of fish and eggs, I considered my diet plant-based. I was still eating mostly plants, but this way of eating seemed more fitting since I was no longer exclusively eating plant foods. Number 5, gluten-free. When someone is on a gluten-free diet, they avoid all grains that contain gluten, such as rye, barley, wheat, and spelt. In place of those grains, when I was on a gluten-free diet, I ate gluten-free grains such as gluten-free oats, sorghum, millet, rice, and wild rice. This way of eating has become so popular that many of us have tried it. I'm still mostly gluten-free because I've lowered my consumption of grains in general, even gluten-free grains. I have discovered that the more gut healing I do, I can occasionally enjoy a piece of sourdough bread without any digestive issues. Of course, anyone with celiac disease or a severe allergy to gluten needs to be really careful. But for those of us like me who have less severe symptoms, it may be possible to reach a point where you can have a little gluten and not react to it. Number 6 on our list is dairy-free. Like gluten, there can be severe allergies where someone really needs to avoid dairy products. I had avoided dairy while I was vegan, but even people who are not vegan may choose to avoid dairy products. This includes butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, and milk. Personally, I've gone back to eating dairy products and I'm tolerating them pretty well. Quality is everything, so I try to get them from small farms with humane practices where the cows are grass-fed and pasture-raised. Number 7, a paleo diet. A paleo diet includes fruits, vegetables, meat, seafood, eggs, nuts, and seeds. Foods that are avoided are grains, legumes, refined vegetable oils, refined sugar, and processed food. This is not an intentionally low-carb diet, but it can end up being high in protein and low in carbs. What I appreciate about a paleo diet is the focus on whole food ingredients. A keto diet. A ketogenic diet is a high-fat, moderate protein, and very low-carb way of eating. It's similar to the Atkins diet. The goal is to train your body to rely on fat and protein as energy sources rather than carbohydrates. So foods that are avoided include grains, sugar, juices, bread, sweeteners like honey, chips, crackers, baked goods like pastries, and even starchy vegetables and high sugar fruits. I briefly gave this a try, switching to sweeteners like monk fruit and stevia. Many people swear by this diet and experience good results. Personally, it just felt too restrictive for me. Similar to the paleo diet, I became reliant on nuts, seeds, and nut flours, which I believe were causing IBS. And one unpleasant side effect of being in ketosis is halitosis. Number 9, the GAPS diet. The GAPS diet was developed by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride as a way to heal chronic physical issues that stem from gut issues. It includes homemade meat stocks and bone broths, organic meats, certain types of fish, shellfish, organic fruits and vegetables, probiotic foods, nuts, and seeds. Foods that are restricted on the GAPS diet are grains, commercial dairy, apart from hard cheeses, starchy vegetables, processed carbohydrates, and refined sugars. I have Dr. Natasha to thank for the meat stock recipe that I use regularly. Number 10, Weston A. Price. Weston A. Price was a dentist in the early 1900s who traveled the world and studied the health of people living in traditional cultures. He found that native people eating a traditional diet had straight teeth, no tooth decay, strong bodies, and resistance to disease. Dr. Price believed that flour, sugar, and modern processed vegetable fats caused many of the health issues in modern society. People who follow a Weston A. Price type of diet include whole unprocessed foods such as meat, eggs, and dairy from pasture-raised animals, wild fish and shellfish, animal fats like butter and tallow, traditional vegetable oils like olive oil, and fresh fruits and vegetables, preferably organic. All whole grains, legumes, and nuts are prepared by soaking, sprouting, or sour leavening to help neutralize naturally occurring anti-nutrients. I love the principles in this way of eating and use a lot of it in my daily way of cooking. Number 11, low oxalate diet. A low oxalate diet has been used for a long time with patients with kidney stones. Last year I found the work of Sally K. Norton and how she attributes many other health issues to oxalate toxicity. What are oxalates? If you haven't seen my video about this, I'll link it below. Basically, oxalates are naturally occurring plant compounds, and they're found in high amounts in foods such as spinach, rhubarb, and almonds. Since reducing the amount of oxalates in my diet, I've seen nothing but good results. Number 12, low carb. As I mentioned before, paleo and keto are types of diets that are low carb, but even without following those two diets, you can eat a low carb diet by avoiding starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes and instead opting for low starch vegetables like zucchini. I ate this way briefly and lost weight unintentionally, so it could be helpful as far as weight management, but for me it was not a healthy way to eat for long, and I felt so much better reintroducing healthy carbohydrates. Number 13, the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is just what it sounds like. You can eat red meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and some dairy products like cheese. So no produce, no grains, no legumes, nuts, or seeds. This was another brief experiment for me. For a couple weeks I tried the carnivore diet, and I did feel strong and energized. I could go a long time without eating and felt quite satisfied. It did start to have an unpleasant impact on my digestion and felt a little too restrictive. Diet number 14, hypercarnivore. A hypercarnivore diet, which sounds like it would be an even more intensive version of carnivore, is actually a less restrictive version of a carnivore diet. It's based on animals which are hypercarnivores with a diet that's more than 70% meat, and then aside from that, they eat mushrooms and fruits. This seemed more doable than the carnivore diet, but still didn't feel quite like the right way of eating for me. Number 15, Ray Peat inspired way of eating, aka pro-metabolic, bioenergetic. More recently, I rediscovered the work of Dr. Ray Peat, a biologist and thyroid expert. This way of eating is not a diet as much as a way of understanding how to eat to support thyroid function and metabolism. Dr. Peat believes in having healthy fats in the form of butter, coconut oil, and high-quality dairy products, which can be raw dairy products, as well as liver, collagen, eggs, tropical fruits, fresh fruit juice like orange juice, root vegetables, and tubers such as potatoes, raw carrots, coffee, and even some sugar. Besides these 15 different diets I just covered, there are many other diets including the South Beach diet, the blood type diet, Mediterranean diet. Every diet is going to offer pros and cons. What I've learned through all of these dietary changes is that no one diet is right for everyone. And we all have to find what works for us and for our families. These days I enjoy the good takeaways from all of these different approaches. not following one particular diet or rules as much as common sense and intuition. What diets have you tried? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time.